you create views and viewpoints to manage data for specific business purposes, such as maintaining a dimension used by multiple applications, comparing, sharing, or mapping data across applications, creating an alternate business perspective for what-if or planning purposes, generating an archival dimension snapshot, building a tailored browsing experience for casual business users, and creating time-labeled versions of dimensions from historical points in time. Let's create a view to model a hierarchy that combines departments from one planning application with cost centers from another planning application. Open the Views page and click Create. Enter a name and optional description for the view, then click Create. On the General tab, you can edit the view name, description, and status. To control which users can see the view, use the Show on Views page property. You can include or exclude specific users, or include only users with data access. Include all users with data access is the default. Under Requests, you control how descriptions are defined for requests in this view. On the Viewpoints tab, you create viewpoints for the view. Select the dimension for the viewpoint. For this first viewpoint, I'll use the department dimension from the Planning and Budgeting application. Add a name and optional description for the viewpoint. The viewpoint class is Normal by default. Select Time Labeled if you want to access application data from a historical point in time. Then click Create. Notice that the viewpoint is in a draft state until you select a node set to use. Edit the viewpoint and select a node set. Viewpoint names can be up to 255 characters. If your viewpoint name is longer than 30 characters, you'll also need to define a label of 30 or fewer characters if you want to do any of these tasks for the viewpoint. I'll leave the label blank and save the changes. Notice that once a node set is added to the viewpoint, it's no longer displayed in a draft state. Also notice that the binding status has been updated to node set bound, which means that the node set for the viewpoint is being used in another viewpoint that's bound to the dimension. I'll repeat the steps to add a viewpoint for cost centers from the corporate planning application. This viewpoint represents how the cost center dimension is currently structured in the application. The third viewpoint is where I'll combine the departments and cost centers. For this viewpoint, I'll select the cost center dimension for corporate planning again, as this application is the ultimate target for the redesign. And to differentiate this from the previous viewpoint, I'll assign a node set that represents the combination of departments and cost centers into a single hierarchy. On the Definition tab for a viewpoint, you can view and inspect the node types and properties included in the viewpoint's node set. You can edit the definition to change the allowed actions and properties for the selected node type. The Properties tab displays the properties for the viewpoint determined by the node sets. The Queries tab enables you to search for nodes in a viewpoint whose properties match your specified criteria. On the Subscriptions tab, you can set up subscriptions to listen for changes in a source viewpoint. For more information on how to create and consume subscriptions, see our related videos. Finally, the Data Chain tab displays the data chain objects for the viewpoint. You can click on an object type to see details. Let's return to the View Inspector. The Viewpoints tab now displays all three viewpoints, and you can use the links to inspect the related viewpoints, applications, dimensions, or node sets. You can edit the Viewpoints tab to reorder the display and delete unbound or partially bound viewpoints. Note, fully bound viewpoints must be unbound from their dimensions before you can delete them. When you're done creating and editing viewpoints, close the inspector. The view is now displayed in the View list. When you open the view, you can see the viewpoints and their corresponding data. The Viewpoint Actions menu lets you inspect, query, compare, validate, and copy the viewpoint. You can also download the viewpoint to a file and load viewpoint data from a file. I can now use this view to model a combined cost center hierarchy by opening a request and dragging nodes from the department and cost center viewpoints to the new cost center viewpoint. To learn more, visit docs.oracle.com.